say yet. Yes. Really? No!
Previously on the Shrek series review.
Whew, Shrek, did you do that? Man, you gotta warn somebody before you just crack one off. My mouth was open and everything.
Believe me, donkey, if it was me, you'd be dead.
Shrek is a pretty good movie. And now, back to the Shrek and Simon Cowell crossover spectacular.
Not that bad.
I will take that as a compliment, princess.
You should,
Simon?
because I rarely give them.
Easy, Simon. The competition hasn't even started yet.
I can't help being judgmental. It's who I am.
Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart, but your head gets dumb.
DreamWorks had so much faith in Shrek that they put a sequel into production before the first film was released. Luckily, their faith paid off, as Shrek was a monster hit with critics and people of all ages. They even made more than Disney's film for that year. However, Shrek 2 ended up being the studio's most successful film ever, and almost everyone considers it to be the best in the series, including myself. Originally, the plot was going to focus on Shrek becoming king and holding a fairy tale election, but that idea was scrapped for being more intellectual than emotional. It's weird to look back at this unused plot now, since I thought Shrek was already running for president.
And the first thing I'm gonna do is build a 40 feet wall around my land.
Anyway, Shrek 2 builds upon the ending of the first film, and shows the repercussions that occurred after Fiona married Shrek instead of her Prince Charming. One praise that I can give to all of the Shrek sequels is how well they transition into each other. So many sequels jump ahead to introduce new problems that the characters have to face, but the problems Shrek faces in his sequels stem from the choices he and his friends made at the end of the last movie. For example, now that Shrek is married to Fiona, he needs to meet the in-laws. Unsurprisingly, the king is a little pissed that his princess daughter married a meme lord. So Shrek needs to go on another adventure to prove that he is Fiona's true love. There, he meets new characters like the Spanish hitman, or Hit Cat, Puss in Boots, as well as the fairy godmother and Prince Charming, who try to stop Shrek from getting his happily ever after. All of the new characters are voiced well and are either hilarious, maniacal, or interesting. Even the returning characters get an upgrade. Almost all of Donkey's lines are funny this time around. The fairy tale characters have much more to do. Fiona's character is defined, although she really doesn't do much. And Shrek has strong motivations behind his actions. His entire future is based on whether or not he succeeds. Not just because he was all like,
"What are you doing in my swamp?"
The animation was greatly improved for this sequel. While some of the human characters still look a little off, the ones with major roles look miles better than they did in the first film. The action scenes, although rare, also look great and are fast and fun to watch. Bottom line, everything you see in this film looks pretty good, at least by today's standards. The biggest thing that got upgraded in this film had to be the humor. Almost all of the jokes make an impact. Even the adult jokes became more subtle, and the toilet humor less frequent. All of this is pretty impressive considering that this film is packed to the brim with gags. There are lots of moments in this film where the jokes start coming and they don't stop 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 coming and they don't. But despite all of the fast-paced humor, Shrek 2 still knows when it needs to slow down, and it causes some nice quiet moments. The emotion on display here is better than what is seen in the first film, especially since there isn't a very long and boring sad montage scene. There's a lot to love about this movie, but I still have a few negatives to point out. The pop culture references are taken up to 11, almost to the point of annoyance. The Kingdom of Far Far Away is filled with parodies of famous shops and restaurants, and it's the only source of humor during a traveling montage. Again, a lot of the references are pretty broad and easy to catch on to, but it's still one thing that keeps this film from being completely timeless. Well, besides the pop songs. They too return, and while I think that the first film had a few more memorable tracks and a better score, this film has some memorable tunes too. They now feature some really stupid lyrics,
Baby, I surrender to the strawberry ice cream. Never ever enter all this love.
as well as some great transitions between songs, plus the fairy godmother sings a great cover of Holdin' Out for a Hero, which adds to the already epic climax. There isn't much more that I can say about Shrek 2. It builds upon the previous film in almost every way with better animation, stronger characters, and tons of great humor. Instead of being just another little Disney parody, it told a pretty interesting story while also not losing the charm seen in the first film. If you're looking for a great and well-written animated comedy, then I highly recommend Shrek 2. It's not often that we get a sequel as great as this, as most of them don't live up to what came before it.
Everybody knows that the sequel's never quite as good.
Anyway, after such a great addition to the series, DreamWorks would never make a disappointing Shrek movie, right?
You think I can get you laugh?
I look any different?
You still look like an ass to me.
Oh, what a great joke. That's almost as great as...
Well, I have to save my ass.